Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Cullen Moss about season 2 of Outer Banks that just dropped on Netflix. Welcome back to the show, man. It's good to see you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. And here's the thing. I don't know if you're like, I'm sure like you remember this, but I was doing a lot of Instagram lives last year because it was a pandemic and we were all at home. But ours was the most memorable one because Saf from Tiger King, he showed up. Do you remember that? That was insane.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. So yeah, we're back. Outer Banks is back. Shoop is back. I mean, first thing I wanted to kind of
in retrospect, just real quick while the segue is still there, what do you think had more staying power post-pandemic, Tiger King or Outer Banks?
Well, it's funny too. I don't know if you saw. I did interview Carol Baskin on the show. Like I actually had her. She actually. I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago.
I didn't know that.
So like, Outer Banks is just crazy because you see what's going on in terms of it was a pandemic. Everyone was at home watching it, but like people they want season 2. Like it's crazy. Like it's
for sure.
It hasn't stopped. I don't think. Like I think there was a little breathing room. I think we forget sometimes, though, because the relationships and the character dynamics are so crazy in this show, especially with Shoop, with the Pogues and with everything going on. This is about gold. Like, this is a treasure hunt. Like, do you find that funny, too? Like, everyone focuses on the relationships, but it's like, sometimes it's a treasure hunt.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I find it weird, but no. Because that's what any good show, even if any good show, even if it's situationally based, what keeps people tuned in and what keeps people connected are the relationships in the show. Like while they're looking for the gold, or while they're on Fantasy Island, or or whatever. Like or while they're fighting aliens. It's the relationships. It's the interpersonal relationships that keep people glued to it. So I think, it's just such a good cast and everything. There's just such real chemistry between people in this show that it works and it's riveting.
And, it's not really a spoiler, but, Shoop's got his hands full this season because there's a lot going on. There's a murder. There's alleged murder. John B. is being framed. We all saw who did it. It's one of those things where he has to kind of figure out, not even like a side, but like, it's a lot for your character. So how did you prepare for that, knowing that I was gonna happen? Like you knew it was happening in season 2. Like Cullen Moss goes in and reads for Shoop. Like it's a lot. Like it's a big situation for your character.
Yeah, and I knew, like I knew who Shoop was in season 1, and and that there wasn't a whole, and I mean the writers could have gone and taken a sharp turn and just said, hey, you know what, Shoop's dirty as hell, and he's gonna, but it wasn't leading that way.
No.
In season 1, and we were all like kind of on the same page about who I was and what he was going after. So I didn't have to do a whole lot. It was just go with the flow, go with the writing, and be there. The toughest scenes are the ones where there's still, I know who I am, and I know who Shoop is, and I know what he's after. But there's certain scenes early on, especially in season 2, like the same way with season 1, where they want to keep things ambiguous. They don't want to show all the cards at once, and they don't want everybody to know whose side Shoop is on yet. And so you've got these scenes with Ward or with whomever, where you can't show your cards, but you know what you're thinking. But you'd have Jonas or Valerie or Sonny, like one of our directors, going, pull back on that. I know where you're going. Like you're playing what's actually going on, but you can't let people see that as much. Keep it under wraps.
Ward by a landslide is the most complex character in Outer Banks. I don't think anyone, like, if you really think about it, he's the most complex character. Shoop is kind of thrown in a situation where he could be make a case for a second, because you don't really know what's happening with your character because of the situation you're put in. So there's a lot of complexity there with Shoop, in my opinion.
There's complexity, and he could, and Ward puts him in some situations where where he's you wonder which side Shoop is going to lean toward. But yeah, he ultimately stays true to who he is and what his aim is.
So here's the deal: you go in, you shoot Outer Banks season 1, pandemic hits, show gets released, instantly just becomes a smash hit all over the world. You get announced for season 2, you go and make season 2. What was that like the first week of like going back? Because the dynamic is different, obviously, because when you're shooting it for the first time, you don't know what the reception is because it's not out yet, ever. It's going to be new to the world. What was that like? Dynamic, like, what was it like going back after this became a big hit for season 2 of everyone? Cullen?
It was exciting, for sure, but it was interesting, just like the release of the show and kind of the after effects of the release. It was kind of it was dampened and muffled a little bit,
Yeah,
like all that stuff because of the pandemic. And so even when we got back into production, production is usually such a social thing, and it's such a time for actors and crew members to bond about things and and have fun between takes and stuff. And there's some of that there, but because of the pandemic and all the restrictions, the COVID restrictions, everything, like, everybody was very excited about going back into it, but we're excited, and between, once they call cut, we're putting our masks back on and seeing, the crew members sweating balls, just having to wear full PPE early on, and having to go back to like an isolation tent. There's so it was exciting. We knew we were getting into something that was already a proven commodity.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
And that was exciting. So there's a celebration there, but it was also with this. We were also going back in with this trepidation, like with the pandemic, just going, okay, when are we going to get shut down?
Yeah,
Again.
yeah, that comes into play. I mean, it's still pandemic going on. You're back to work, but absolutely, COVID tests and all that.
Oh yeah, our noses were thoroughly infiltrated.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was heavy testing, and heavy safeguards, and for good reason. And this is not a complaint. Every production has had to kind of go back in and be safe and try to look out for the sake of every cast and crew member and the production at large.
I find it interesting because, you look at your career as Cullen Moss, the actor and storyteller. You've worked on a lot of things, and you worked on a lot of TV shows that traditionally have come out week to week. The one that comes to mind all the time, of course, is One Tree Hill, right? Like that show, yes, every week came out, right? You were like excited for a new episode, right? You're now part of Outer Banks, which is a lot different, where, all 10 episodes are released at once. Are you getting used to that still, about how it's changed a little bit, how they're all coming out at once sometimes? Because it's a whole different game.
It is different. It's I'm used to it. I mean, definitely, Outer Banks is the most popular example of any such that I've been in. But then just recently they did the Underground Railroad came out on Amazon Prime, and I've got a few episodes in that, but that was it's a different thing. Everybody can just rifle through it now, and then again and again and again and again. I mean, all the rewatches. Yeah, it's different, kind of having that of just knowing earlier on, like the anticipation for response is not there anymore. There's like, all right, we're gonna find out any minute now. But even with being able to binge it and everything, there's still sometimes there's a lag time between everything drops and the time you really realize how fully it's taken its place. You know?
But this is not a super big spoiler because this interview is gonna be out on our YouTube channel, and a lot of people have probably already watched season 2 already. But like, it would actually be tough for Shoop as a character if it was released one episode every week, because the change of heart comes at the end, right? Like, people are gonna hate Shoop like in the early stages if it was week after week.
There is, it's the writing is smart.
Yeah.
The writing's smart because you can't have him go where he's going right away.
No.
Right. Otherwise, there'd be no series. I mean, if he listens to the kids and he's and just says, I believe you, we're following up on all this stuff, then there's nothing to, then there's no, they can't go there, chasing what they're chasing, and everything's wrapped up too tidily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you got to play the long game with it. But doing that sometimes, like, and shooting those scenes, I'd be like, come on, Shoop would be smarter than this. He would know, like, come on, he would follow up on this or that. But yeah, the way, and he does, and it turns out that he does, but you don't find out for a while that he's followed up on this thing or that thing. And in the moment, he's just saying, you stupid kids, you bring me out here. Anyway.
Absolutely. Some new faces. They're going to see some new characters, but they're going to see a lot of old characters. I think it's really cool and exciting where, there's like the main Pogues, the main 5, but then there's other characters that got a lot of love when season 1 came out, including like Shoop and everything. And they're all going to be back, and it's exciting. You know what I mean? What was it like for you when you knew that you were when did you know that Shoop was gonna come back for sure? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but you don't maybe sometimes it's not officially told until after you wrap. You never know, right?
You never know, but I mean, there's talk during the first season. Yeah. While you're shooting the first season, that you're getting feedback about your about everybody's responses to the writers' responses, the showrunners, and all that. You're getting some feedback there, and so, I felt pretty confident that if we had a season 2, I'd pop back in there.
Absolutely.
They're not going to start season 2 up with an off-screen death of Deputy Shoop or something.
Are your kids a big fan of Outer Banks?
My oldest boy enjoys it. He's 18. Yeah, he had a good time with it.
That seems to be like his age group. That seems to be the age group that's hitting hard with the show.
Yeah. Yeah, his classmates, a lot of his classmates really dug it. And my youngest, I mean, there's my 7 and 5-year-old, and they're not the demographic.
No.
But the 7-year-old at the time, he was 6 when it came out, and he tells her, we let him watch the first episode.
What? Yeah, episode 1. Yeah.
We let him watch the first episode, and then he snuck down. He was like, "Can I watch some of 5 because I snuck downstairs and my parents didn't see me until." Which is true. He snuck down. We're watching episode 5, and we turn around and he's like, the couch. Guys, get upstairs. So he's seen 1 and 5. He likes what he saw.
That's amazing. Cullen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming back on Popternative. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thanks a lot, man. I'm looking forward to everybody seeing season 2.
Technically, this is your 3rd time on the show, right? Because we did that Instagram Live.
It's true.
So do I have to get you something, like a mug or something? What's happening?
I think a cape or a mug.
A cape.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so all 10 episodes are dropped right now, so people could binge that. And where can they follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Cullen Moss. I'm on Twitter rarely. You know, you catch me.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Cullen Moss and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.